Good morning, ma'am, and to all my classmates. I will shortly discuss to all of you about the offline learning opportunities. Implementing modular approach in the current educational system by Mr. Dax Gapud of Bibal. Modular Distance Learning Webinar Series. So there are 4 learning objectives on this webinar. Number 1, describe the current educational system in the time of pandemic. Number 2, understand the different modalities of distance learning. Number 3, recognize the modular approach as one of the offline learning delivery modes. And last, show an example of a learning module based on the most essential learning competencies. In Philippine education in the time of pandemic, the Department of Education now facing this crisis. They are unprepared and very big challenge yung ganitong sitwasyon natin ngayon. So the authorities are considering proposal to allow limited face-to-face classes but in the low-risk area, hindi lahat. But for the most part, classes will remain empty due to safety concern. There will be no face-to-face classes and session until we are assured of the safety of the children and the teacher as well. The Department of Education give us a plan kung paano tayo makakapagbigay ng equitable learning experience para sa ating mga learner. And one of the proposal na highlighted by the DepEd was the blended learning. So what is the blended learning? It is a combination of offline and online. There are 5 recommendations under Learning Continuity Plan for 2020-2021 na pinropose ang Department of Education. Isa dito yung distance learning, blended learning, homeschooling, apprenticeship, at face-to-face. Among these 5, the Department of Education highlighted the blended learning. Pero yung pinaka-issue sa blended learning yung tanong na, is it really possible for us to provide an equitable quality learning experience to each and every learner given this particular situation? So there are different modalities naman na pinropose yung DepEd. Yun yung mention ko 5. Maraming pwedeng pamilian. So under ng distance learning, there are 3 choices. It could be online distance learning or ODL. Pwedeng modular distance learning, MDL. And last yung TV and radio-based instruction. So here in the Philippines, we are lucky because internet connectivity is available. At apparently, hindi naman lahat ay mayroong internet access. So, paano na yung mga learners na to? Ano yung pwedeng solusyon na maibigay natin sa kanila despite of unavailable access ng internet connection? Still ba mabibigyan pa rin sila ng equitable quality learning? So, syempre, ready yung DepEd sa mga ganyang sitwasyon. Given the uneven development of various technologies in various countries, online learning cannot be seen as the only solution for remote, rural, and resource-poor communities. Okay. So let's talk about the distance learning. There are 3 possible options to choose. They are, number 1, printed learning modules. Yan, ito yung pinagbibisi-bisihan ng mga teachers ngayon or yung dyan sila abala sa paggawa ng mga modules. But the question, most of the parents, is how to get or how to distribute the modules. So the Department of Education said that they can coordinate with the LGUs to help distributing the modules. Or yung mga parents can actually go to school to get the modules for their children or learners. So, number 2, yung offline digital self-learning materials. It is offline, but it's more on digital. gagamit pa rin ng gadgets. Pero hindi ito printed. And one of the example and highlighted here is the DepEd Commons portal. Pwedeng gamitin ng mga bata kahit na walang internet access. Makakapagsagot pa rin sila digitally. And last, yung online distance learning. There are different online learning application naman to help. It can be synchronous or asynchronous. Synchronous, ito yung sabay ang estudyante at ang teacher through virtual classes. Yung asynchronous naman, ito pwede yung mag-record si teacher ng mga videos habang pinapanood naman ito ng mga learners. So now, let's proceed to the modular approach. Modular instruction, it is an alternative instruction design that used to develop instructional materials based on the needs of the student. Students engage themselves in the learning concept presented in the module to develop a sense of responsibility in accomplishing the task provided in the module. One of the most important when doing a module is to establish a clear and realistic learning objectives. Yung MELCs or yung most essential learning competencies, dito hina-highlight na lang yung mga importante. And from MELCs, we can create a realistic teaching and learning experience na pwedeng sabayan ng mga estudyante kahit wala pa yung teacher physically. So, module. Module can also define as a unit, chapter, topic, or segment of instruction. A week is a common module length, ideally, but it also depending upon the content and the teaching style. So, what are the elements of module? So, ayan. Paggawa ng module, first, you will start with the introduction, rationale, and objective. And the title of the module, followed by the activities to engage the students. Or ito yung part ng motivation. Next, the information. It could be reading materials to be added. But be very careful in putting information. It must be understandable by the learners, knowing that the teacher are not there to help the learners. So, it must be in the simplest way of translation. Nakasingit lang dito sa kasunod ng objectives yun. Hindi ko lang nailagay sa PowerPoint. So, next, the exercise to practice. It is to check the understanding, followed by the application. And next, the assessment. It could be a short quiz, mga 5 to 10 questions, just to check the knowledge and the understanding about the topic, and the reflection. Sa reflection, it is important kasi by this, the teacher will get to know if the learners is nahihirapan ba siya or nadadalian siya. It's like a letter from the learners to the teacher regarding dun sa lesson. Parang comments ni learner yon kay teacher. Comments niya sa mga natutunan niya. Next, feedback. It's from the teacher. By this, malalaman ni learner if tama ba yung ginawa niya. So, paano ba binibigay yung feedback? For example, kinuha nila yung module nila, sinagutan. Then, binalik sa teacher to check. Then, by the time na kukuha na ulit sila ng bagong module nila, doon naman ibabalik ni teacher yung module with the feedback. So, yan. Kaya, importante yung feedback. And last, addition of resources. Pwedeng mag-add dito ng other source of reading materials or pwedeng maglagay ng mga links na pwedeng mapanood. Ayan po yung paggawa ng module. So, yun po. Sa online class, it's not the only solution. As a teacher, we give an equal opportunity sa lahat ng learner para matuto. To give them equitable quality education. So, yun. Module ang alternative. And that's the end of my short discussion, and thank you for listening.